Hey gang, how's it going? It's January and it's time for a top 100 favorite films list from me and my friend Ian. We do this every year. We've done this for the past 3 years, and it's a fun time of year to write these and see how our tastes have changed from year to year. And this is the most drastic change of my lists, and I'm sure it is of Ian's. Our time periods have changed. We've drifted more towards the pre-70s films than we ever have. So even including for myself horror films. So let's jump right into this. There's no rhyme nor reason for these first four lists. We're going to do 5 videos, one every Monday. Today's is Tuesday because I wasn't ready. I had to cut 37 films out of this list. But 5 films, the first 4 films don't count at all in any numeric order. They are just on the list. I wrote my list of 100. I took out my top 20 and then I just wrote. So this first list is part of my 100 favorite films, but it's also just any order. These don't count whatsoever in any order. So let's jump into this. Number 20, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Great film, about 1975. My favorite Jack Nicholson film. We also have Christopher Lloyd, Scatman Crothers, Danny DeVito, and a bunch of other funny, kooky guys. Number 19, Gold Rush. Great silent Charlie Chaplin film. Number 18, another Chaplin film, City Lights, considered one of his best works, and it is amazing. It's on this list way down here, but it doesn't matter. It's on the list. Just outstanding film if you've never seen it. If you haven't seen a lot of silent films, give them a chance. There are some really big gems out there, especially Chaplin stuff. It's so funny. You'll take this new-aged, smartphone age of watching films, and what I mean by that is the smartphone generation. They're funny films with all the dick and fart jokes and, farting on people and, all that stuff. Yeah, whatever, man. Whatever. This is comedy right here. So, Rosemary's Baby, a horror film. Not your typical jump scare horror film. It is very atmospheric. A lot of people will consider it boring. It is a magnificent horror film, a magnificent character study more than anything, but just a great film in general. Number 16, my favorite Tarantino film, Jackie Brown. There's nothing wrong with this film. I mean, you've got De Niro, you've got Pam Grier, which is a big plus. You've got Bridget Fonda. You've got Sam Jackson, Chris Rock, I think, or Chris Tucker. I get it mixed up. I think it's Chris Tucker. But it's a little small role anyway, but it's still fun. It's a funny spot. But just a great film. Number 15, Bram Stoker's Dracula. Francis Ford Coppola's masterpiece, in my opinion. I know he's done the Godfather films, but I love this film. This is one of my favorite portrayals of Dracula since the 31 Dracula. Gary Oldman. That's all I have to say about this film. Gary Oldman, the man of a billion faces. You never know what he's going to look like in any film, and he kills this. Next, we go into a group of Jimmy Stewart films. Just happen to fall this way. The first one we're going to go with Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. This is a very early Jimmy Stewart film where he starts kind of climbing the ladder of making really good solid films. And this is just a great, silly Jimmy Stewart, but it's got a lot of heart and meat into it. Makes it out to be a really good film, so you really need to see this. Next is one of my favorite Jimmy Stewart films that aren't directed by Hitchcock, and that's Harvey. It sounds stupid. It's about Jimmy Stewart, and he has a 6-foot invisible or imaginary rabbit. And, and like I said, as it sounds silly, it is a very touching and very strong film. It's one of my favorites, and it's just really good. Number 12, Anatomy of a Murder, another Jimmy Stewart film. This is a courtroom drama, and none better. He is not your typical courtroom guy, not your typical lawyer, but he is magnificent. Next, number 11, MASH. MASH, the film, took off. Donald Sutherland. Robert Duvall. And others. Tom Skerritt takes off and is the basis for the spin-off TV show called MASH, which happens to be my favorite television show of all time. No matter what decade. Game of Thrones, I love you, but MASH is where it's at. Next, Raiders of the Lost Ark. You might as well throw some other Indiana Jones films in on this, and I will do that later. I will put sagas down. But Raiders and especially Temple of Doom together are my two favorite. This is quintessential Harrison Ford. I know in a lot of people's minds he is Han Solo, as in mine. As you can tell, Star Wars is my life. But this is secondary and some of the best action scenes of all time. And he's getting ready to do another one at 80 years old, so who knows. Number 9, Notorious. Not going to talk a lot about this. You need to see it. It is an Alfred Hitchcock film. It is one of his better films, which I am very biased because Hitchcock is my favorite director of all time. And whenever I talk about a Hitchcock film, I tend to go overboard. And then when you watch it, you're like, huh? But you have to be in the mindset to watch a Hitchcock film. You can't just go in there thinking, he said this was the best movie ever. What the fuck? Yeah, he's not your typical director. He is the master of suspense and mystery. And it's a beautiful film. Number 8, Goodfellas. Don't even have to talk about that. De Niro is top-notch, and this is no different. Film of him and Marty Scorsese together is just a work of magic. Next, The Shining. Another one I don't really have to talk about. Jack Nicholson, based off a Stephen King film, does an amazing job. It really does nothing for the book. The book is completely different almost, but it is as a standalone film, it's magnificent. Next, number 6, House on Haunted Hill. This is Vincent Price. This is just a haunted house film filled with mystery and murder and intrigue, and it's 60s style horror with a little bit of comedy in it. Not a lot, but it's a great watch. Number 5, The Ten Commandments, Cecil D. DeMille. This is fantastic. I am by no means, I mean zero means, a religious person at all. But the story of Moses in this film with Charlton Heston is just mind-blowing. It is beautifully shot. It's one of those classic Hollywood sets that were built and just gigantic. And Heston knocks it out of the park in this. Number 4, Castle of Blood. We have Barbara Steele, one of my absolute favorite horror actresses of all time. You just have to watch these. This one here is about a guy that makes a wager to go stay in this haunted house. Just a great 60s gothic horror film. Next, kind of the same thing, Barbara Steele again. We have Long Hair of Death. Another gothic masterpiece of Italian art. Great film. I don't like to describe too much of these because once I do, I start getting talking and overboard. Before you know it, you don't have to watch it because I've told you the whole fucking movie. Next, this is one that's going to get a lot of crap, and that's Aliens 3. I love this film. a couple spots where special effects get in the way and people don't enjoy that or this. But as you know, overall, I think this is a great idea. It would have been a great way to just end the series. We don't need Alien Resurrection, even though I will still watch it. Aliens 3 would have been the perfect end to a perfect franchise. And then number 1 on this list, number 5, the 5th list, is Vertigo. Jimmy Stewart, Alfred Hitchcock, murder mystery. Can't beat that. So that's it. That is the top 20 of the first list, which is the 5th list, actually, as we go and we knock that one out. And now we're going to go to number 4 next week, and we have some good stuff on there. I hope to see you next week. If not, I understand. So anyway, you will go through 5 weeks of seeing how my tastes and Ian's tastes have changed. Come here. You made a pain in the butt back here. You want to come up and see everybody. Say hi. I'm Molly. This is Darth Molly. She is my... Look here. Hey, looky here. Looky here. Look how pretty she is. Look how pretty she is. She's nice and brindle. She's my baby. She lays like a baby. Yeah. So anyway, come join me and Molly for the next list next Monday. And until then, we'll see you later. Game over.